Good afternoon, my friends. Happy Friday to all of you. The deadline to take action is coming up very quickly. Democrats and Republicans are running out of time to reach a deal on the next spending bill, and this delay could affect millions upon millions of Americans. The Federal Reserve has also released a very shocking announcement on the economy and a recession. Friends, please make sure that you watch until the end of this video for all of the new details. To say thank you for watching all of the videos I post, I'm giving away 4 $75 Walmart gift cards every week. Please make sure that you click and like several of my videos and then comment below the keyword of each video that you watch. The U.S. economy has definitely been negatively impacted by this ongoing crisis, but the Federal Reserve has a message for Americans. It is about to get much, much worse. Fed Chair Jerome Powell made it very clear this week when the central bank projected its benchmark rate hitting 4.4% by the end of the year, even if it causes a recession. Jerome Powell told reporters today there will very likely be some softening of labor market conditions. We'll keep at it until we are confident the job is done. I wish there were a painless way to do that, but there isn't. So the Federal Reserve forecasts the unemployment rate to rise to 4.4% next year from 3.7% today. That is a number that implies an additional 1.2 million Americans losing their jobs. According to CBS News, with an additional 1 million or 2 million people out of work, the newly unemployed and their families would sharply cut back on spending, while for most people who are still working, wage growth would flatline. When companies assume their labor costs are unlikely to rise, they will stop hiking prices, and that in turn slows a growth in prices. But some economists question whether crushing the job market is necessary to bring inflation to heel. The Fed fears a so-called wage price spiral in which workers demand higher pay to stay ahead of inflation, and companies pass those higher wage costs onto consumers. But experts disagree that wages are the main driver of today's red-hot inflation. In the meantime, the Fed's existing rate hikes have put about 800,000 job losses in the pipeline. Other economists predict an even harder landing, with Bank of America expecting a peak unemployment rate of 5.6% next year. That would put an additional 3.2 million Americans out of work above today's levels. So friends, what do you think that our government can do to lower inflation without putting our country into a recession? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Friends, the keyword for this video is Key Largo. If you would like to enter tomorrow's Walmart gift card giveaway, please click and like several of my videos and then comment below this keyword, which is Key Largo, and additional keywords of any video of mine that you watch. And do make sure, friends, that you are subscribed to my channel. Congress is set to approve a short-term government funding patch next week, likely avoiding a shutdown, even as obstacles over permitting drag out negotiations. It is still unclear if the temporary funding fix will include language to speed up the approval of new energy projects. While the notion has bipartisan support, Republicans and Democrats are split on the details, and time is rapidly running out to reach a compromise. The Senate is expected to move first on the stopgap spending bill. Senate Majority Leader Chuck Schumer moved Thursday to advance the funding measure, setting up a test vote for early next week, even though lawmakers are still racing to finalize the legislation itself. Likely to occur next Tuesday or Wednesday, would require 60 senators. Senator Chuck Schumer is determined to attach the energy permitting provisions to the funding patch, stemming from a deal with Democratic Senator Joe Manchin that cemented his support for the party's healthcare, tax, and climate bill. But if political disagreements over permitting continue to delay a Senate vote, the House could move first on a funding patch without the energy provisions. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said this week that the government funding is set to expire at midnight on September 30th, 2022. Lawmakers have said that the stopgap would likely keep the government funded through December 16th of this year. Senator Joe Manchin unveiled his package to ease energy permitting this past Wednesday. And in his boost, his GOP counterpart, Senator Shelley Moore Capito of West Virginia, said that she supports Manchin's plan. But Joe Manchin needs more assistance from his Republican colleagues to get it across the finish line. Most Republicans think that Manchin's bill doesn't go far enough to ease permitting rules, and they have shown support to a separate GOP proposal introduced by Senator Capito. Meanwhile, a growing chorus of Senate liberals and House progressives are calling to separate the temporary funding patch from the energy permitting provisions. Senate Democrat Elizabeth Warren said that she wants a separate vote on the short-term funding bill, while Senator Bernie Sanders said he will vote against a stopgap if it includes permitting measures. Dear friends, do you think our government can ever come to an agreement? Please let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Well, my fabulous and fantastic friends, that is the end of my daily stimulus update video for today. Thank you, my dear friends, for joining me here every single time I post a video. And I greatly appreciate all of you for doing so. The winner of yesterday's Walmart gift card giveaway is Lily Greer. Congratulations, my dear friend. To claim your gift card, please check your notifications page and send me an email. Or you can also send me a message on my Facebook page. Thank you, friends, and have a wonderful and blessed Friday.
Madam President, last week we received what might have been the worst economic news I've ever seen in one day of my lifetime. In Joe Biden's America, it costs more to feed your family. In Joe Biden's America, your commute to work is more expensive. In Joe Biden's America, it's a struggle to pay the bills that power your home. In Joe Biden's America, farmers and ranchers are facing such high input costs that they're struggling to grow the food that feeds our nation and those around the globe. And in Joe Biden's America, just as kids are heading back to school, the price of school supplies has increased by over 9%. This president continues to preside over the worst economy most Kansans have ever seen in their lifetime. And this is all thanks to the Democrats' massive, hyper-partisan tax and spending bills, and of course their business-crushing federal regulations. As you can see on this chart, inflation was just 1% in January 2021, 1.4%. Today, well, it's over a staggering 8%. Almost 6 times higher than when Joe Biden took the reins and his woke inflationary policies wrecked our economy. Look, energy, groceries, and shelter account for 2/3 of inflation, and they always lead inflation. Inflation is not going away unless this administration does an about-face on its policies, and we know that's not going to happen. Let's take a look at what Joe Biden's done. Energy. Energy's up 23%. Groceries, up 13%. Shelter, up 6%. Now you might ask why. Why is shelter gone up 6%? Well, look, mortgage rates on 30-year loans have quadrupled under this president. Energy, grocery, shelter, all up across the board. All are essential to every individual's comfort and prosperity. And finally, have you looked at your retirement accounts lately? Down, if you're lucky, maybe some 17% off its peak values. Kansans are hurting, Main Street merchants are hurting, Americans are hurting. But instead of helping, this administration continues to pour gas on the fire with another massive spending bill. And then they had the gall to publicly celebrate last week on the south lawn of the White House, the very day the stock market went into a spiral after the CPI came in showing the highest inflation rate in nearly 40 years. What's more, Sunday night on 60 Minutes, the president said that inflation was up, quote, just an inch, hardly at all. And I end that quote. Are you kidding me? I can't imagine an administration more out of touch, more apathetic to the pain of the people who elected him than this one. An 8.3% increase in inflation over last year is not just an inch. This kind of minimization infuriates everyone. I've heard it at every one of my 100 town hall meetings. Let's not forget, since Joe Biden took his oath, inflation has increased over 13%. Mr. President, when you live paycheck to paycheck, 13% is not just an inch. Americans are much smarter than you think. Inflation is going to be Joe Biden's legacy to the American people and our history books. The text my grandchildren, 2 of whom are sitting in the gallery today, will study and see a graphic like the one behind me. If anyone was hoping that the Federal Reserve would be able to slow down interest hikes, you can think again. This month's numbers made it clear to the Fed that their job is far from done, forcing them to raise interest rates by another 75 basis points. Interest is only going to keep increasing unless they reverse their policies. Look, life will continue to get more expensive under Joe Biden. Why? Because this president will not reverse his woke inflationary policies. Even now, President Biden and the Democrats want to continue to tax and spend us further into recession. Now, make no mistake about it, after almost a year and a half of financial anxiety and paychecks that aren't going as far, Americans have had enough of the failing economic agenda of Joe Biden and this Democrat majority in Congress. November can't come soon enough. Come January, the tax and spend agenda will come to an immediate end. We will not allow this administration to further damage this country with their failed economic agenda. Before COVID, we had the greatest economy in generations. We accomplished this by slashing taxes and getting out of the way of industry and letting American producers produce. This is why the American people want. This is what they want. This is what the American people deserve. This is what will lead America back to prosperity.